Hi everybody, it's me, and I'm doing another video on alongside the previous videos that I did about collecting on a shoestring budget. For this video, I want to talk perhaps the most relevant criterion that I use when evaluating works, which is context. And context in itself is the reason I appreciate art. I collect art and I study art, and so it's for me it's understanding what the work is really trying to convey. Not necessarily as explicit as this work, but even on abstract works, and there's an element of as I've always said, the artists are always trying to communicate with us, and therefore it's extremely important to understand the context of the work. What was the surrounding of the artist or the work in itself? Because artists are like sponges, they are absorbing their surroundings and expressing that understanding in throughout expressions. And this work, the reason I decided to choose this work is one, because I think is to understand the context is a bit much easier than perhaps an abstract work, and also because I think it captures very well. It makes it very easy to and resonates very well for anybody that has lived in Hong Kong. The work is called Deep Heat, and is effectively a tube of the deep heat cream. With the word rent being done on written by the cream that comes out of the tube. And secondly, I like as the background, they have this mesh with this like a wet cardboard, and it's to resemble some sort of mud or dirtiness. But for me, it's more than dirtiness; it's to resemble that roughness of Hong Kong. People that have lived in Hong Kong, they do understand that the rental market, both property and residential, shapes up the dynamics of Hong Kong overall. And I think that that's when I saw that especially the background, I really like that symbolism of that roughness that this particular effect, or this particular market dynamic has on Hong Kong. And also overall, when you see the work together, it really resonates. And in the context of Hong Kong being this primary driver, I do understand that this work, or I sense that this work really captures that essence of Hong Kong, and therefore it really fits in with that Hong Kong visual culture that the M+ talks about amply on his exhibitions. That that presents Hong Kong as it is, that very uniqueness of Hong Kong, and I think this work captures that very well. It takes that element of one of the principal elements of Hong Kong society, presented on a background of that roughness, that kind of like a wall city spirit of Hong Kong, and puts it together in a work to tell us that this is a big social shaper. And obviously, I discussed this with the artist Gohan. He's a friend of mine, and I have seen his works. He's an artist that explores Hong Kong social issues. He's actually better known for his coin series, where he takes $1 worth of cardboard, and then he wets it and compresses it, and then makes a coin out of it, which is actually quite a sizable coin, and to present that social tension, that kind of like a sense of inequality in Hong Kong, because as people know, in Hong Kong you have the cardboard grannies, that these ladies that are elderly 80s, that they push carts collecting cardboard just to derive some extra income, or derive perhaps their own income, their own source of income, which is a big social reference for Hong Kong. Gohan really explores, he's actually like, he ventures into exploring these social dynamics, and then he presented this work, which was originally, the work was first actually placed in somewhere in Soho. Yeah, it's somewhere in the street of Soho. It's out of a street artwork. And the first time I saw it on the street of Soho, which is a place that is relatively affluent with expatriates and so on. I will speculate perhaps that the vast majority of people that live around that area pay rent, live out of rent. When he places that work in that particular context of that neighborhood of Hong Kong, is conveying that message to the people, or the neighbors of the people living in that neighborhood, that he understands what rent does to them, and the pressure that creates socially. And for me, like, the reason why I cried is understanding that background and seeing this work, conveying that so simply and even colloquially. And finally, I decided, like, yeah, this is it. I think this is a work that is going to retain its value over time. I do believe that because I believe that these rental dynamics in Hong Kong are not going to disappear anytime soon. As people do know, Hong Kong has one of the highest property markets in the world, where rent really defines pretty much what you do, because this cost of high rent is always being translated to the population. And as people do know, this was one of the main topics out of the protest that happened a couple of years ago. It was the inequality that the property market creates, and the difficulty that the youth people have on accessing housing and so on. It's a big social pressure point. So that's the reason I decided to acquire it, because I think, I mean, besides presenting the work in that particular context, it also fits in with that narrative of Hong Kong visual culture. So I'm super happy to have it. I think it's a work that is very important. It's very dear to me, because it's also personal. I do pay rent in Hong Kong, and I feel those dynamics. But I think it's certainly bigger than that. I think it really fits into that in that collectiveness of the Hong Kong spirit and that Hong Kong visual culture. So yeah, I wanted to just use this work as to explain my criteria for collecting, which is a content, which is perhaps, as I said earlier, my main criterion, and perhaps to also elaborate on the thought process that I stimulate now that I'm starting the consulting, split second. And this is kind of like the thought process that I invite people, or I will invite clients to go through, that when they decide to buy a work beyond the plain aesthetics, is to think about what dialogue this work is generating with you, and perhaps understand the background of the artwork and the artist and so on, and enrich the understanding on the work that way. That's actually what curators do, and this is what greater collections do, hiring art professionals to do that, to enrich through context. So yeah, so this is context, and I hope you like it. And again, as I always said, please do send me your messages. I'm more than happy to have these conversations. Again, if you disagree with my presentation, by all means, do let me know, because I'm always happy to see different perspectives. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to hear from you guys, and see you guys later. Cheers. Bye.